Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today it's Monday and it's October the 26th, 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to extend to you a warm welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. I always say the tide changes so frequently here on the YouTube street, so it's important to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want to tell you that I truly thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. And our story today comes from the city of Charlotte in North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, "Dozens of live maggots were in the patient's foot wound." I'll provide you with a summary here, and as always, I'll place links to a few of the full articles in the description box. Now, this story today will probably make you have second thoughts about placing a loved one in a nursing home. And I have to say, let me shake my head in disbelief. We're talking about the University Place Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, and this facility has been serving the Charlotte, North Carolina, and surrounding community for about 45 years. So it's been well established in that community. The current location was built 14 years ago, and they have a bed capacity of 207 skilled beds and another 10 beds that are reserved for as a home for the aged. They offer physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy for long-term and short-term stay patients, and also for some outpatients as well. So they provide a vital resource for that community. And we're also talking about a specific resident at this nursing home. I decided not to show her picture because there's no need to add additional trauma to what she has already experienced. But her name is Bernice Mays. We don't have her age, but based on the picture I saw, she probably was in her late 80s or could be older. But anyway, Miss Mays was living in this facility. I believe the report says she came to live there around January 19th of last year. And for what was reported, she had a diagnosis of dementia and some other health problems, which made her totally dependent upon the staff for all aspects of her daily care. But sometime during her stay at this facility, Mrs. Mays developed pressure ulcers on her sacrum, which is the end of her butt, her right heel, as well as her left heel. And this is significant because this is what the story is all about. It's about the care she received for these identified problems, more specifically for the wounds she had on her heels. Now, Mrs. Mays had a grandson. His name is Justin Wardell, pictured here. And based on what I read from the various reports, he appeared to have been Mrs. Mays' power of attorney. So if there were changes in her condition, he was the individual the facility had to call. And for this story to have relevance, it appears as if Justin Wardell is the one who played a key role in bringing the situation to light. And this is what we know about this case. It was last month, around 20 September, that the University Place Nursing and Rehab Center was cited by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. The nursing home was issued a violation after it was confirmed that the agency failed to meet the established standard of patient care as it pertains to one of its residents. And in this instance, it has to do with Mrs. Mays. But before we get to the violation, let's go back just a bit and revisit Justin Waddell and the report he ended up making. Now, in an interview that he conducted with one of the local news sources, Miss May's grandson, Justin Waddell, stated he first became aware of the problem with his grandmother's care when he was tipped off by a staff employed at the residence. He said at first the caller left a message telling him he needed to check on his grandmother at the facility. Then another staff member sent him a video, and immediately he said he was in a state of disbelief. He said that individual, he actually saw lots of maggots crawling out of a wound on his grandmother's foot, and it was just too much to watch. He said it actually made him sick to his stomach. Again, the video he saw was an open wound on his grandmother's heel with live maggots crawling out of it, and there were lots of them. Justin said that he looked at the video, his stomach turned, and he began to experience a variety of emotions, one being shocked by what he saw, and then angry because something so horrible was happening to someone he loved. In the interview, Justin said for a brief moment, he began to think about where he was, and he questioned the standard of care providing based on what he was seeing. Was this America or was this some type of third world country, he asked himself. And once he was able to get his emotions in check, he made his way to Charlotte and immediately took his grandmother to the hospital to have her foot treated. And after that was done, he removed her from that facility and placed her in another nursing home. He then contacted the North Carolina Department of Human Services and filed a formal complaint. And in his complaint, he demanded that the North Carolina State Health Department investigate negligence by workers at that nursing facility. So that was a very serious complaint, and it forced the agency to take action. So the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services showed up on the doorsteps of this University Place nursing home this past September, and over a 4-day period, they conducted a very detailed inspection of the facility as they investigated a complaint made by Mrs. May's grandson. And this had turned out to be rather interesting. So let me summarize for you the results of the investigation and the finding that's reported by the state in their final written report. And during that 4-day interview, I'm sure no stones were left unturned because the facility had had some problems before. And I'm sure everybody was stressed out and they were made to feel uncomfortable. And all levels of staff were interviewed as it pertains to Mrs. Mays and the maggot in her foot and how the facility could have allowed this to happen and what was their response when they found out? First, it was the nursing assistant who said he was changing Mrs. May's position. Apparently, she was unable to move, so the staff had an order to change her position on a frequent basis. And it was during one of these position changes, the nursing assistant said he noticed live maggots had fallen out of a partially open dressing that was on Mrs. May's heel. And for him to say live maggots, it meant that he saw them moving. They didn't fall out and just stay there. They fell out and he saw them moving. The nursing assistant said he notified the nurse of the incident. That's Nurse 1. So Nurse 1 said she looked at it and then she called Nurse 2 to take a look. And during her interview, Nurse 2 said there were approximately 50 to 100 maggots in that wound. And after they looked and they verified, they called the director of nursing to let that person know. And then the director of nursing said she contacted the doctor to let him know. So nobody has done anything yet. All everybody's doing is looking, okay? So they were essentially saying everybody within the chain of command was appropriately notified. And apparently the doctor told the interviewers he instructed the nursing director to have the nursing staff use a tweezer and remove all of the maggots and then wash the wound in a solution of vinegar and water. So the director of nursing instructed the assistant director of nursing to accompany the wound care nurse to do just that. They took tweezers and they removed all of the maggots from the wound, I guess all that they could see, and they watched it as directed. And I guess the interviewer must have asked him why he did not send the patient to the hospital to be treated, and he said he thought the nursing staff could handle it. But I did not see where he came and looked. I didn't see in the notes that he came and assessed the situation before he determined that, yes, they should be able to handle it. And, that probably was not the truth that he felt they can handle it. It was probably more to say the agency would have been embarrassed to have another agency see how bad the wound had gotten, which was really a reflection of the poor care. A decaying wound on a patient is really a reflection of the poor care the agency was providing. And the investigators or the inspectors also interviewed the folks working in facilities management because they wanted to know just how in the world flies were able to get into the facility, travel to the individual rooms, and settle in the patient's wound where they probably laid hundreds of eggs, which eventually created maggots, and I might add lots of them. They claimed it was a result of doors being left open to accommodate patients moving in and out during the day. And by the time the inspectors arrived at the facility, many corrective actions had already been initiated, such as applying screen to the doors, spraying for bugs, and installing lights to trap bugs. So they decided to take a head start, and by the time the investigators arrived, this was considered a plus because they were able to say, there was a problem, and these are the things we did to prevent it from happening again. But this was not the first time the inspectors had been to that facility, and the nursing home had previously been cited and fined more than once in the past. So once again, they received another citation for for violation for not providing a safe environment for patients and allowing the infestation of maggots to be living inside a open wound with one of their residents. I'm sure this is not good for the agency because they are probably walking on pins and needles now and concerned that if their standard of care does not improve, they could result in losing their accreditations. Who knows? They're probably on probation. I'm not sure I saw that, but I won't be surprised. If you've been cited and fined twice before and you cited again, you're probably on probation. I'm sure the Department of Health will be visiting them again in the near future. Probably would be unannounced. And while some things in life are just unpredictable or unavoidable, there's a lesson to be learned here. Don't just leave your elderly grandparents and parents in a nursing home. Make sure you're following up and make sure you're checking and making sure you're not just calling. Make sure you're going to visit. I know COVID has changed the way we do many things, but make sure you're visiting on a regular basis. Make sure you're checking them out. And if you see things that shouldn't be there, for example, all of a sudden they're having sores and stuff like that, they got dressings on, ask a question. Ask a question to make sure they're really getting the quality of care they deserve. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on this notification bell right here, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.